I'm gonna give a little update here on the 06 Sportster with the new front wheel. So I took it out. Everything seems to be going really well. I noticed a little bit of play. There's a little bit of movement here in the rotor. I mean, just slight. So I tried to torque these down the best I could when I put this all together. But I'm actually gonna pull the front wheel back off the bike, take the rotor back off, snug them down, and then just kind of go through and torque them all down to, or evenly, I guess. See if that takes a little bit of that play out. Like I said, it's not much. I mean, going down the road and you're running about 65, there's just a slight wobble to it. It's, again, not much. The actual caliper here has enough play in it that, I mean, you don't notice it. It's just, I don't really remember what it did before, so hell, it might have had that same play in it before I swapped the rim. So not 100% sure, but anyway, I'm gonna pull the front wheel back off. And I kind of want to snug it up just a little bit. Once it gets warm, there's a little bit of play here. You can see that washer where it's spinning. Not much, but just enough. I want to take that out and have that where it's solid. I don't want any play at all, but again, felt great. Didn't notice anything other than it moving. So I just being the front wheel, I want to make sure everything is 100% correct. You can kind of see how much room I've got, spacing there between the front fender. Sorry, lighting's not the best there, but you can kind of catch maybe there. So yeah, I think I got the spacing dead on. Looks really, really good. So it's really straight there in the front between the forks. So yeah, I'm happy with that. But again, I want to get this yanked off, see if make sure that's all perfect, and we'll put her back on. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's good. And I kind of want to go over how this is all put together back here, as far as the rotor and how it's attached. I mean, there is 1/2 inch spacers there, you guys can see, but also they're in the center on the actual rim itself. This rotor is actually sitting on that hub in the middle as well. So that's where I came up with the 1/2 inch. I measured that distance, and it's a 1/2 inch. So that's kind of where I came up with those spacers, if that makes sense. So, but anyway, I'm gonna yank it off and kind of show you guys the process or what I'm planning to do there. The other thing I want to do real quick, I did get the exhaust put back on the bike and get a new gasket put in it, but I think part of the problem, weld here broke on this bracket underneath, so I'm gonna pull that back loose and weld this back down to that tab and then put it back on. So I'm gonna do that as well, and bike should be ready to go again. But anyway, I'll cut back here in a minute. All right, guys, I think we got everything kind of set up here, so gonna go ahead and get started and pull these caps off real quick. I don't know what size they are. Ought to be a pro at this by now. I think I've taken this front wheel off 3 or 4 times. So. So basically what I'm doing is pulling these little covers off of each side. So we'll set those off to the side. Go ahead and loosen up the axle. This one. And I got the broken ratchet, awesome. I don't know if the impact will take it off or not, but we'll see. So, nut, washer, or lock washer, and then inside there's another washer that I'll pull here in a second. First, I need to pop this loose. Here. Again, this is a axle bolt has a 3/4, the little washer, and Allen over here is a 9/16 and I think a 5/16 on the Allen. And this is basically your pinch bolt, I guess is what you'd want to call this. Basically, that bolt goes through and pinches the axle, keeps it from moving. So throw it out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the fender loose next. It's a 1/2 inch on the inside, and Allen's here on the outside. The Allen's on the outside, I believe. I may not have the right size on this. Yeah, there we go. Let me get these all broke loose. Actually may try to drop this without pulling the other side loose. We'll see how that works. But anyway, there's your nut and bolts for this side. Now I'm going to push the axle through. Again, one washer. Take a little bit of pressure off the axle. Pull it out. The spacer should all fall out and roll over the floor, which they did. Awesome. Again, try. Yeah. Nah, it didn't work. So anyway, you got to take the fender off. I was hoping maybe if I released one side, I'll kind of show you guys what I was talking about there. I thought maybe if I released one side, it'd give me enough clearance to slide that wheel over to here and clear the tire. And you know what? It might. It does, just barely. So anyway, I may have to take it the rest of the way off, but to put it back in, but we'll see. So what I'm gonna do now is actually remove the rotor. And then I'm going to go through kind of the torque process of how I'm going to torque this all down and put this all back together. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead here and break this loose. And then we'll torque them from there. Honestly don't remember. I think I torqued these to like 30 foot-pounds or something like that the first time, but I want to go ahead and do them all again. I just kind of try to do them evenly just to be safe. Okay. These loose there. Okay. So all the bolts there are loose. Set that down. So these are what I'm talking about, spacers. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but the actual center of the rim here the rotor actually sits on, and then these just fill that gap out here. So ends up being the same thickness, so you got a nice solid surface for this all to attach to, if that makes sense. So anyway, thought I'd kind of give an idea or show kind of how this is all going together here. So let me grab some Loctite real quick, because once I torque these down, I really don't want to take them back off for a while. At least I hope. So we'll go ahead and get started here. One thing I'm going to look at real quick. I have some additional bolts I purchased too that are a little bit shorter here. Not much, but I kind of want to see how these, yeah, I think those will work. And those will actually, so what I'm looking at here, these will actually set flush inside the rotor, and I think will allow me to torque and tighten everything down a little more evenly, I hope. So, and they seem to go in far enough. Should get plenty of threads on them, so we're gonna go with these. Again, I'm gonna put some Loctite down here on the end of these. Again, hoping I do not have to take these back apart. So first we're just gonna start with snugging those up a touch. Keep everything lined up here. Seem to be going in a little evener, I guess, than the original bolts. These are tapered, you guys can see that. So I didn't feel like I was getting them all even, I guess. Or these, where they're actually flat, they feel like they're tightening down a little better, or a little evenly. I guess. Got everything finger tight. Again, the inside of this is setting on the actual hub here, and then the spacers are just where the bolts go through. So I think I have plenty of support there. At least I'm hoping so. We'll see. But let me go ahead and I'm going to set my torque wrench here. We're going to start these at 15. Actually, we'll go 20. So I'm going to set them all to 20 foot-pounds. And I'm going to work kind of crisscross. So now I'm gonna go up to, we'll go to 30. I think I'll be okay jumping all the way to there. There's 25, and there's 30. Again, crisscross pattern. I'm actually going to back that back off. Does it? I may have to get. We'll give this a shot. So this is 25. Okay, so real quick, I got it all tightened back up. I had a little issue with one of the bolts. I stripped out, so I had to get that another one put in there, but got that fixed. So I got them all torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. That's as much as I could get on them without stripping out the Allen head. So feels really good, feels tight. Haven't taken it out yet, but got it back on the bike. Still have to put the end caps on and weld up the exhaust, and then I'll try to get a video, maybe riding it down the road and some footage of the front wheel. So anyway, I'll cut back. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the exhaust pulled off now and see if I can get that welded up. So not a whole lot to get an exhaust pulled off. Basically, you got a 1/2 inch nut up there, 1/2 inch nut down back there, pull them both loose, and pipe comes off. So, and then I'll loosen up that bracket right back there and lay it out here on the floor, weld it up, and put it back on the bike. So I got the pipe pulled off here. You can see here where the weld actually snapped. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this bracket off here, which in turn, I'm gonna grind some of the paint off, and yeah, weld it back in place. Back in a minute. So I got everything kind of set up here. I'm gonna go ahead and use a flat disc to take some of the paint off, so I can weld this up. Basically, I'm going to set this right back in place and tack it up. I'm going to use a magnet there, hold it all straight and in line, and then I'll tack it here on both corners, and then weld it from there. And for whatever reason, So for some reason, the battery out of my helmet is gone. So give me just a second here and I'll get a new battery and throw in this helmet. I'm sure it probably fell off the shelf or something, and yeah, just like that, the darkness. So there we go. All right, now let me make sure I got all my settings set back where I like them. So. Okay. A little test again. finished product there. So didn't turn out too bad. You can kind of see the lines there where the crack, or where the edges of my welds, where a crack is actually in the middle there, where it broke off. Well, you guys can see where it penetrated through. So ought to be a decent weld. I want to get that as smooth as possible because it's got to sit back down on that bracket to get the bolts and everything to line up correctly. So that's one reason I grinded my welds back down, and then I tried to overlap them so I got good or covered, good coverage there anyway. So should hold. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some paint on it and put it back on the bike. Give it a whole lot of time yet to really cool down. I don't really want it to cool completely. I hope it kind of dries as I put it on. But I'm gonna use just some black engine paint. I've got it in the cabinet, so I'm just gonna use it. And back there where it's at shouldn't be super hot anyway, so it's mostly just for the bracket, just to keep it from rusting. So I'm gonna throw this on it real quick and I'll cut back once I get it back on the bike. So there's the piece all painted up. Doesn't look too bad. You can kind of see where I didn't get it quite super smooth there on the edge of that weld. But again, it's definitely should hold. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it sit here for a minute and dry a little bit, but and then throw it on the bike. All right, got the exhaust back on. Gonna actually take it out and see how the front wheel looks. So probably gonna end that here with this video. I may throw on a shot of the front wheel maybe on the end of this, but as you can see, it's getting dark, so it may not happen. But anyway, again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Love if you guys subscribe and hit that like button. Thanks again.